Today, I am excited to have Amit Pande joining us today, Product Manager. Amit, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Very, very well. We're here to talk about something really cool. I saw your presentation at the Cloud Summit in New York, all about machine learning and broadcasting. So I really wanted to talk to you about that on the podcast. But before we get stuck into that, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do here at Google?
Sure. I'm Amit Pande. I'm a product manager on Google Cloud. My role is to work closely with leaders across media and entertainment industry to help them envision and then design and transform their business with using Google Cloud, big data, and machine learning.
Cool. So you said media and entertainment. I've heard about DevOps, but what is media and entertainment? What does that entail exactly?
So media and entertainment includes products and solutions for broadcast, for digital publishing, for gaming, and then on the entertainment side, both production and post-production.
Cool. When you say video game, do you mean like the video game playing or like video game, like when people watch video games, or both?
Both.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit more about what this actually entails related to Google Cloud Platform. What does Google Cloud Platform have to do with this industry?
Yeah, so let's take an example. For broadcast industry, we have a fully managed end-to-end service with support and SLAs, all the way from getting your live signal to being able to distribute that live signal to the end users, and then being able to help you better monetize. We're providing products and solutions for each of those steps in your supply chain. Similarly, we have products and solutions for some of the other verticals inside media and entertainment.
So what would that actually look like from, say, a customer point of view? Like, say, if I'm watching TV, I may not notice it, but what would be, say, something that might be happening behind the scenes to a broadcast that I might be watching?
So from a customer perspective, all the way from, say, there's a typical Super Bowl game that is being broadcasted, we capture that signal on the broadcaster's on-site premise, upload it to Google Cloud, transcode it in all the different versions for you to be able to consume on your mobile, on your Apple TV, on your Roku, on your connected devices, and then being able to distribute that through Google's cloud distribution network as well as third-party distribution network so that you have a seamless experience when you're watching this content online.
Cool. So I've been working lately with a bunch of Go meetups to be able to do live streaming, which is like YouTube Live and stuff like that. So I guess that what you're talking about is basically the same idea of YouTube Live, but without having YouTube involved. It's like the whole infrastructure is run by Google and you can retransmit anything?
Yeah, exactly. So it's in fact using the similar infrastructure as what YouTube is using, but providing that as infrastructure as a service to third-party broadcasters like all of the large TV networks out there. And it can be used for streaming live events. It can be used for streaming, just creating your own live channel, as well as being able to distribute your video on demand assets.
So maybe the answer is no, but can you talk a little bit about who is doing this?
So we have a lot of large customers out there. For example, we had a very recent presentation at Google Next in New York, and Univision was sharing the stage with us, talking about how their journey of moving from on-prem to Google Cloud infrastructure. And we have a lot more customers that are using our service.
Awesome. Well, I guess I'm going to ask maybe the obvious question. We are a company that tends to be known for our machine learning type stuff. Is this somewhere we also apply machine learning, or are we just in the streaming business?
No, absolutely. In fact, when we think about how machine learning can help transform your media and entertainment business, we think about three buckets. We think machine learning can help you innovate and build those next generation experiences. It can help you better monetize your content, and it can help you reduce your operational cost while delivering your content at global scale.
How? I was gonna say, you say innovate. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's take a typical supply chain for content business, correct? Let's take the creative process of content creation. We can apply machine learning to help you determine exact clips and automatically generate highlights for your content using machine learning. Let's take another example, content recommendation that's been around for a very long time, and traditionally content recommendation was based on content metadata. we can use machine learning to actually understand what's happening inside your video and help you find visually similar videos that you can recommend. So it can be another signal that can feed into your content recommendation system. Another example is machine learning can automatically micro-segment your content and analyze and draw insights for each of the segments of your content. If you had a TV show and you wanted to understand which actors are drawing more audience or which scenes are seeing higher engagement, with machine learning, now you have the ability to both combine your audience retention data and the deeper segmentation of your content to draw these kind of insights.
This made me think about that. I think it was IBM. They did this research where they created a movie trailer from a movie directly using AI. Is this the kind of thing we're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. All the way from being able to create trailers to being able to create automatic highlights or previews, correct? So let's take an example, correct? For you're probably familiar with the Chopped cooking game show. ML can combine all of the signals, correct? Like it can automatically segment your video. It can annotate each of the segments inside your video, rank the segments based on your audience engagement data, and it can help identify things like where is the start, where is the middle, and end. And not only that, it can also start looking at like background audio to understand where those interesting moments are happening inside your game show. And then you using all of this, like as a user, if you come in and it's like, I only have 3 minutes and I want a quick highlight, we can generate that highlight on demand, correct? So it's almost helping you consume your content on demand based on your requirements. Similarly for the games, correct? Like you might be, there's a game yesterday and I want to see a highlight for yesterday's game for this particular player, correct?
So I'm curious, the stuff you're kind of talking about seems to be sort of possibly like after the fact or like post-processing. Is there stuff that we apply that happens while, like during a live stream, that can interact or change maybe, I don't know, camera direction or I don't know. Is there crazy stuff that can happen in flow?
Yeah, so there is also applications to machine learning where I have seen people using machine learning to be able to use one camera to record an entire game. So this is actually on the content creation side where they are following the activity on the field to understand wherever the activity is there, they're actually moving the camera itself to be able to follow that activity. So that's an example where it is actually happening on the creation side. It can also, you can imagine as viewers are watching, they may be like, I want to be able to view this particular player's perspective on the field, and every person would want a different one, correct? Again, machine learning can help identify as well as help you generate that personalized streams that you can connect with the users.
So I guess that is pretty hard in real life, IRL. Cool. So out of the things that you were talking about, specifically about the part where you were able to understand the video and then create maybe like highlights or whatever, that sounds a lot like the kind of machine learning skills that the Vision Intelligence API has, right? So I feel like that moves a little bit into, okay, so that sounds really fun. How do I do it as a developer? What are the different APIs or the different products that I can use in order to create such an experience? Yeah,
so on the machine learning side, we have a full spectrum. We have TensorFlow for you to be able to build your own models. We also have Google Cloud Machine Learning Engine, which is a managed end-to-end service that you can use to analyze your data and build your own models. And then we have readily available APIs which are trained on Google's data that you can use to integrate into your application. So all the way from natural language understanding APIs to converting your speech to text to translating text, and also most importantly for media, understanding your images and videos. So specifically, we have two APIs. One is our Google Cloud Vision API that helps you understand structural entities inside your images, and Google Cloud Video API, which helps you take a video, segment it into shots, and detect labels in the shots that can then be used for things like search and recommendations, and ultimately for generating things like highlights or driving better monetization of your content.
Nice. For those that are curious, I like to do like back references to other episodes. We did an episode on TensorFlow, episode 31 with Eli Bixby. We did an episode on Cloud Machine Learning Engine, episode 71 with Guo, and also an episode with Sarah Robinson about Cloud Video Intelligence API. So if you want to know more about these APIs, check it out.
So I'll ask an interesting question too. So, I mean, this all sounds super, super cool and crazy and wonderful. Does this mean that using this technology, like we're removing humans from the application, or like is this replacing that, or is this a tool that people can use in conjunction, or how do you see this fitting in the wider spectrum there?
I think from my perspective, when I think about machine learning, a very good example is self-driving cars, correct? Like we want to get to that autonomous driving cars, and we're probably 5 years out from that. But meanwhile, we're building out these steps towards having a fully autonomous car, which are today assistive steps. So similarly, when I think about machine learning, it's starting in that assistive step, and then gradually it's going to learn and learn so that it gets better, and probably at some stage it fully automate the steps that it's being applied to. I also feel over time, the way we do our processes, they will change, and you'll probably be able to do it more efficiently at lower cost. You'll probably be able to delight your customers with better experiences. And the roles of humans will change from doing repetitive tasks to actually analyzing the data and using the machines more intelligently to be able to perform their tasks.
So if you're looking at something like speech to text, like doing closed captioning, you might use something like our speech to text API, but then the human might be just verifying and making sure that's all correct. Like that.
That's actually a very good point. So I believe because where the technology is right now, a lot of these technologies will benefit when you combine machine learning with humans. So if you take the output of speech to text and combine it with an edit tool where you can both quickly review and edit, and any changes you make, those actually feed back into the machine learning model, will significantly improve the precision and recall that you see for future results of that API. So I think that's one of the key areas I want to highlight is as you're thinking about using machine learning, always think about how can I train the models on context-specific data, and how can I use a feedback mechanism to further improve the precision and recall of the machine learning APIs or the results of my machine learning model.
Are there feedback mechanisms for something like text-to-speech or Cloud Vision API?
So right now, the public APIs don't allow that, but you can imagine building your own custom model that further allows you to feed that back. And we are looking at options for enabling such that we can continue to help you improve your quality.
I'm thinking that we should try as a demo to do it on our own transcripts.
We should.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
So we could actually do it. So we automate our transcripts through a third-party service, and then we could do it through Speech API and compare the results.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting.
We also have a practical application, correct? YouTube also allows you to automatically generate closed captions, correct?
Oh, yes. That
and
was
it's
super
similar
well.
technology that we are bringing to Google Cloud as part of the APIs, correct? So all that data which is training is going to help power the APIs that you're using.
So I publish a bunch of videos. I have a YouTube channel, and one of the coolest things of posting on your YouTube is that you get the closed caption and then also the automatic translations to bunch of languages.
Exactly.
Which is very useful for people that do not understand English. Is that something that we can do real time on a live stream, for instance, or are we still not there?
I think right now we are obviously not there, but I do foresee that in the next 6 to 12 months, the technology will get to a point where we will start applying this to real time. There are some tricks available where you can pre-train your models on context specific. Like for instance, if you have a sporting game, which is where you probably care about being real time, you can train the model specifically for that context, and then the real time outputs would be pretty good in terms of quality to the level that is acceptable from a closed captioning. So there are some tricks available to being able to apply almost in real time and getting the results to the quality level that matches your expectation.
Cool. So we've been talking a little bit about how to make the broadcasting experience and the process itself more pleasant, I'd say, or more automated, better experience. But you also mentioned monetization, money. I like that. How do you apply machine learning for profit? How do you make money out of this?
Yeah, so one of the things machine learning can do is it can understand your video, and it can help you find those specific moments in the video where there are commercial intents, correct? So it can annotate it with products and labels and brands that the users are talking about in your video itself, and it can also help you figure out exactly how many ads should you show. So today, in most cases, if you're watching our content, you probably have a predetermined number of ads, like maybe 3 ads or 4 ads that you've come up with. And generally, that is a client-side logic. We can combine that with server-side logic and a learning algorithm which says, for this particular user, if I show a 4th ad, he will likely drop off. But for this another user, maybe showing 2 ads is that optimal number. And the duration of those ads as well, correct? Like we've already starting to see, correct, the 30-second ads. There's huge buzz in the industry around bumper ads, correct? The 6-second ads, correct? What is the right length of the ad that the user, and that can be personalized. So the ad itself being shown based on the content, the number of ads being shown, and the length of the ads itself, correct? Each of those we can innovate using machine learning. For instance, you could show like a brand ad, correct? And when shown at the right moment, there's clear data in the industry that shows they will perform significantly better than showing regular ads.
So I'm imagining that, for instance, we have AdSense, right? And AdSense, basically what it does is when you add it to a web page, according to the content of the web page, it shows you ads that are related to it. Because if you're reading that, probably you're interested in those things. Is that what you're saying? That if I'm watching a TV, I'm watching, I don't know, like Modern Family, and at some point I see like a car, and then they're going to be like, oh, by the way, you can buy this car here.
Exactly, correct. So you might be watching a travel channel and it's talking about this destination, and you see an ad right at that moment. From your current destination to being able to travel to this destination, there are flight tickets available for XX price. You're likely to convert on that versus a completely random ad being shown at that moment.
Could you also customize the ad as well, like change how the ad experience is for that customer on the fly and do fun stuff that way too?
Yeah, that's exactly some of the very exciting stuff when I was talking about earlier in terms of applying machine learning to the creative process. You can think about all this analysis that we're drawing and being able to on the fly, being able to generate these dynamic creatives which are personalized to the user. And in fact, I believe there's this next wave that is going to happen to ad creatives, where instead of just creating a small number of video ad creatives that target 100% of the users, you will generate a lot more of those. And then with machine learning, you will be able to slice and connect it with the right users at the right moment. And there's this interesting stuff happening in the space, all the way from being able to take your base video creative and then overlaying with context-specific personalized information, like the travel example I gave you, to like products being overlaid, and then connecting those with the users. So again, very exciting space. And I think machine learning is definitely going to transform the way we watch ads and the number of ads and the quality of the ads that we view.
I have a completely ridiculous question. So I was thinking about how machine learning is getting to a point where it's also able to generate new content, right? Like Deep Dream is a very cool example where you give it an image and it creates something surrealistic, like super cool art and stuff like that. Do you think that in like, I don't know, like 10 to 20 years, we'll be able to see videos generated directly, completely by machine learning?
I think over time we will probably, maybe in 5 to 7 years.
Oh wow,
like
5 to 7.
This is probably the self-driving car space where I think the step one in that process is going to use data to assist with the creative process of content creation. And then over time, you can imagine that you have, say you have raw footage of whatever, 30 hours of raw footage, correct? Like a very good example which makes this a little real, correct, is reality TV show, correct? They have like 10 cameras and 24/7 shooting, correct? So there's a lot of content. You need to condense it down to like 30 minutes or 40 minutes of what people are going to watch, correct? And there's no perfect answer of what's right there, correct? And you can imagine machine learning kind of combining and learning from user preferences and taste to actually finding out, like, these are the actors you're interested in. These are the kind of semantic moments that appeal to you, correct? And using that to take your raw footage and summarizing it down to the 30 minutes that you're interested. So that's the extreme example, correct? Obviously, would it be able to generate this perfect episode of House of Cards for me, correct? Like, I mean, we're definitely far from that, correct? But you can start thinking about applying it to things like ad creatives, and then maybe taking content where it's already being stitched together, correct? And you need there's a lot of raw footage that you need to condense down to. Maybe games is another example, correct? Where you want to see a personalized version of the game, where you're like, I'm interested in touchdowns and I'm interested in this player, correct? You can codify the user intentions, correct? That's probably the start of this creative process. And then over time, I think it'll be more of this data being available, and as we learn, we'll be able to apply that to more and more content types.
Cool. I mean, we already see that now in the consumer space I get notifications from Google Photos saying, hey, we saw that you were in this place and here's a montage of the thing you were seeing, or like we could do similar things with like home videos, that
and
kind of
those
stuff.
tend to be actually pretty
They're
good.
usually really good.
Yeah.
And exactly, that is the same technology that I'm talking about, correct? Like Google has state-of-the-art content summarization, ability to understand those interesting moments, correct? And we can start building more of these models based on user preferences and taste for you to really be able to innovate in the space.
So this all sounds awesome. If people want to learn more about this, obviously we've talked about sort of the Cloud Vision API, the text-to-speech. Is there anything around like learning how to apply TensorFlow to video or anything like that you would recommend as a resource that people could potentially go to?
So I think the best bet is to be able to follow the TensorFlow documentation, and then on the API side is definitely look at the Cloud Vision and the Cloud Video Intelligence API to get you started.
I also would recommend something. We talked about Kaggle, and I think that if you want to do like TensorFlow with video, Kaggle had this YouTube 8 million contest, which it's an amazing data set. So that'd be a good place to start.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, correct. Like being able to have that huge amount of data set to be able to train will be huge.
And it's there. So
it's there and it's free.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Well, we are running out of time. So is there anything else you want to make sure you mention, any events or anything you want to plug before we wrap up the episode today?
Yeah, so we are, if you're in Europe, we are going to be at IBC in mid-September in Amsterdam. So please feel free to join our booth. I'm going to be there, so happy to answer any questions. We also have another event happening in Los Angeles in late September, which is focused on machine learning and content creation. If you're interested, please reach out to me.
Awesome. Well, Amit, thank you so much for coming and joining us on the podcast today.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks so much to Amit Pande for such an interesting interview. I did not know that you could do so many cool things, like not only automating things with machine learning, but actually making the content you're creating even more engaging. Super cool.
Yeah, no, super love this. I think this is a really exciting time for broadcast across a variety of platforms, across sports, esports, even live television. Like, there's so much cool stuff that could happen here.